Hi everybody and welcome. For today's video we're going to be talking about cylinders. So actually really similar to prisms today, just a slightly different shape here in terms of what they actually look like. And the video today is coming to you from me and from Clover. So any background noises, I guess take your best guess as to who it is. So first things first, what is a cylinder? So we define a cylinder as a solid figure with parallel sides and a circular cross section. What cross section means is it's basically just like what is the shape of your base here. So like if you took a slice out of this, what would your slice look like? So if we took a slice out of it, we'd have a circle, which is why we would call it that. So again, top and bottom here for a cylinder specifically, we're going to see some nice circles, sometimes ovals, but mostly circles. Just like before, base area is going to be the area of both the top and bottom. So the most common mistake from prisms was that we would, for the base area, just do the top or just do the bottom. Reminder for this one, we have top and bottom, or circle 1 and circle 2. We're going to need both circle 1 and circle 2, and that is going to give us the base area. For this, if we're if we're looking at a circle, the area of a circle is going to be pi times the radius squared. And we'll have to do that times 2 because there are 2 circles. So just to recap, and we'll do an example in just a moment here, but again, pi r squared, find the area of the top and bottom, put them together, that's your base area. The lateral area is the outsides. So maybe we can highlight this in green here. So it's kind of like the outside of the shape here. If you think about it like a Coke can, it'd be like if you cut the top and the bottom off and kind of unfolded the outside of the can, that is going to be the lateral area. So this is the area of the outside of the cylinder, not including the bases. What we do for this one is we take, just like before, the perimeter. So we take like kind of like the outside here. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's not working. All right, I know how to do this. There we go. So we'd be taking like the perimeter here, like the outside edge, and then multiplying that by the height. So in this case, because we are working with a circle, we don't quite call it the perimeter, but it's the same concept. So we take the length of the outside edge, and then we take that and we multiply it by the height. So in this case, for a circle, we call this the circumference. That's going to be pi times the diameter of the circle, and then the height is just the height. Another way that you might see circumference written is 2 pi r, because diameter is 2 times the radius. So a few different ways that you'll kind of see this here. So to recap, if we deconstructed the cylinder, kind of cut it up into its pieces and laid it out, we would have our base and our base, and we would have our lateral outside. And if you kind of assembled it, you see that that would kind of make your Coke can type cylinder. So these are the definitions and the concepts, and now let's apply it to some practice example questions. For these ones, obviously, going to need to have a calculator handy because, again, they do get pretty tricky on this here with some decimals, working with pi, quite a bit to do. So first example here, we can start off with our base. So our radius is 3 and our height is 8. So again, looking at the circle halfway across, that's our radius of 3, and then 8 is our height going up and down. So we start off with our base. We know that area equals pi times r squared. So we can plug in 3 squared. So we'll have our base area is 9 times pi. We have 2 of these, or 2 bases. So you can either multiply it by 2, or you can basically double it, or do 9 pi plus 9 pi. Either way you do it, though, for both bases, we'll get an area of 18 pi. You can take this, 9 pi, multiply it by 2, because we have 2 bases. So both bases, bring them together, get us 18 pi. Next, for our lateral area, we first want to calculate the outside edge. We have pi here, so our circumference is 2 times pi times r. Or 6 pi. And then next we take our distance around the outside, or the circumference, and we multiply it by the height. Which in this case is 8. So we'll get an answer of 48 pi for the lateral area. So that's one example. A second example that we can do for our bases and for our lateral area is, again, let's go through and identify these things. Our radius is 1.5 here. Our height equals 3. So for the base, we get pi r squared. That should be 2.25 when we square it. Then we're going to want to take this, multiply it by 2, because we have 2 bases. So our base area is going to give us 4.5 pi feet squared. I should go back and use units for all of these. Next, for the lateral area, circumference equals 2 times pi times r. Or in this case, 3 pi. And we take 3 pi, multiply it by our height, which in this case we identified as 3 already. So our lateral area is going to give us 9 pi square feet. And again, that's going to be lateral. We highlight this. Help if I actually use the highlighter. It's going to give us kind of the outside of the can here. And then the base area is going to give us just the area of the top and bottom bases here, specifically both of them. All right, so the last thing that we just need to quickly summarize and recap is total area. So total area here is when we take basically our base area plus our lateral area to get the total surface area of the shape. So basically taking base plus lateral and adding them together. So we'll do one final example here. And again, a good example because the previous two we did had radiuses given. This time we're going to have a diameter given. So 10 is our height. 8 this time goes all the way across the circle, so be careful. This is a diameter. So if our diameter equals 8, remember that our radius is half of that, so it must equal 4. So to start off, for our base area, we first need to calculate the area of one of the bases. We got 16 pi, and then as always we have 2 of them, so we're going to multiply this by 2. So we'll get 32 pi centimeters squared for our base area. Next we'll do lateral area. So we'll start off, we're given diameter now, so we can do pi times diameter to get the circumference. So we have 8 pi. We multiply this by the height to get the lateral area. So in this case, 80 pi. is going to be our lateral area, and again, centimeters squared. And then the final thing that we'll do here is the total area. So we take our base area, we add it to our lateral area, and that gets us our total area. So base area is 32 pi, lateral area is 80 pi. Take these together, and we should get 112 pi square centimeters for the total area. And again, that's everything, both bases and all around the outside of the shape. So some good practice here. We'll have a few questions that follow, but the big idea is to think about what is your radius, what is your diameter, and then honestly from there, it's just plugging into a bunch of circle formulas to get the final